Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the fourth edition of TCS CHROMA InnerCircle. I'm Brinda Sethi. I lead CHROMA customer engagements, and I will be your host for the evening. This is the day of the year where all our CHROMA customers come together to share ideas, to stay abreast with latest trends in the HR domain, to assess and refocus our outlook on HR tech, and lastly, to learn from each other's experience. The theme for this year's event is Future of Work, Integrating AI in Human Resources and Talent Management. Today, we explore the intersection of artificial intelligence and workforce, particularly focusing on the implications of AI. With its capabilities ranging from content generation, conversation generation, real time business intelligence to mimicking human actions, and so much more, applications of AI are manifold. The user stories of AI in HR look encouraging, and the future looks promising for the wider adoption of AI into the domain. How do AI's unique characteristics shape the workplace? How will it impact HR and talent management and the way we work? To address this and more, we are joined by our esteemed guests. We have with us today Mr. Varatharajan S., Startup Partner, Talent and Strategy Enabler, Executive Coach, and Board Advisor. Ms. Mr. Sugata Datta, CHRO, Wood India Private Limited. Ms. Poonam Bharti, Executive Director and CHRO, Shriram Pistons and Rings Limited. Mr. Vaibhav Date, Head of Human Resources, Bajaj Finserv Asset Management Limited. Mr. Sandeep Tiwari, Senior Manager, Human Resources, Calkine Solutions Private Limited. Ms. Vaishali Rao, Joint VP HR and CHRO Medicine Solutions India Private Limited. Mr. Pradeep Mohanty, Senior VP Human Resources, Allmax Energy Limited. Mr. Shyam M., Senior Manager, Human Resources, Tractors and Farms Equipment Limited. Mr. Bharati Datta, Senior Manager, Human Resources, Vedant Fashions Limited. I would like to thank you all for joining us today. It's an honor to have you all here. It is now time to kickstart our sessions for the day, starting with the keynote address. For today's keynote session, we have Mr. Varatharajan S., Startup Partner, Talent and Strategy Enabler, Executive Coach, and Board Advisor. Varatharajan, or Raja as he's popularly known, is an MBA from XLRI Jamshedpur. He's an executive coach from CCL US, a certified Hogan analyst, and is qualified for independent directorship. His illustrious contribution organizations including McDowell and Company, KPMG, Wipro, and various companies in Tata Group make him a well-known name in the HR fraternity. His last assignment was with Vistara as their CHRO and Head of Corporate Affairs. Currently, Raja serves on the advisory board of a few MSMEs like Authbridge Research and Huno HR. Raja also is a mentor at Columbia University and Northeastern University, USA. He has been conferred with prestigious Seasoned HR Professional Award from the NHRDN and Best HR Professional Award by the World HR Congress. It is an immense honor and privilege to have him as a keynote speaker today. Please welcome Mr. Varatharajan.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be here and my pleasure to be with all of you. And thank TCS CHROMA team for inviting me to participate in today's event. The topic of future of work and integrating AI and human resources and talent management. To first understand what it is the future of work, we need to understand the business scenario which we are all operating in for the past few years, which is leading to what we are witnessing today. The business world is not the same as it was a few years ago. Globalization has made the world smaller and boundaries are merging. Geography is now history. The global complexity of the businesses has increased interdependence across borders and across companies. Competition comes from anywhere and everywhere and in anything that we do and at any time. Whoever thought that a company which owns no or very little cars will be the market leader in transportation and literally bring the tourist cab industry to a standstill? Who would have imagined that a company which does not produce any content will be one of the largest distributors of online entertainment, threatening the film industry today? The biggest impact of such accelerated trends in the industry is that companies like yours and mine have very little time to react to market needs. This is what has accelerated the technology evolution globally. Technology adoption and digital initiatives have more than quadrupled in the past few years and will continue to remain the focus area. Just 35 years ago, we did not have a World Wide Web as we have today. 20 years back, we did not have any mobile applications, online marketing, or web programming as we have today. 10 years ago, there was no such extensive social media as we have today. So the way that things are moving, who knows how jobs will be 10 years from now, rather 5 years from now. The nature of job is changing as more knowledge economy arises. Now, if you, let me analyze it. Digital transformation has led to not just technological changes, but continuous economic, societal, and cultural changes as well. It's reshaping the way we work and altering the fundamentals of doing business, forcing us to rethink the existing models of business. Businesses are struggling to simply survive, let alone flourish in the face of this disruption. As the digital era is gaining momentum with the SMAC, which is social media, mobile, data analytics, and cloud computing gaining prominence, newer workforce models and concepts are taking the center stage because of the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous work environment. Now, the workforce consists of people from disparate locations across different generations working together. With the addition of millennials and Gen A's to the workforce, Gen Z, we have a different set of challenges. These people, as you are aware, are very intensely individual, but at the same time, the most collective generation I have known, sharing with others and seeking endorsements constantly. Their need to remain permanently connected is very paramount, and mobility solutions are helping them and the workforce being able to do just that. That is, work anytime, from anywhere, and on any device. And mobility and flexibility are increasingly become indispensable to foster collaboration in teams globally. Digital is thus poised to radically disrupt HR if it is not done already and redefine the future of HR function. Now, traditionally and usually, HR has always been one step behind in the digital transformation. And now AI offers the chance for us to catch up. AI can help eliminate repetitive tasks, accelerate search for talent, reduce employee attrition, improve employee engagement, and much more in terms of the HR terms. The algorithms train themselves to stimulate the human behavior and to reimagine employee experiences. AI reacts faster in helping draw out insights and inferences that might otherwise have taken a long time or sometimes not at all. You know, still, sorry, still many HR professionals are reluctant to embrace the breakthrough technology of AI. Some feel algorithms can never replace human empathy and intuition. There are doubts about the availability and quality of data and whether AI can add something new to what we already know about the dynamics of the workforce. We need to start accepting the reality. Digital intelligence is surely here to stay and is transforming the workplace. Man and learning machines are working very close together in neural networks powered by an ever increasing amount of data in the cloud and the use of big data and artificial intelligence to analyze and direct them. This work crosses a wide range of organizational boundaries and requires a massive shift in thinking about how to execute and operate. HR being the most complex, handcrafted, and interdependent business process must rethink how it can add value to operate. The judgment call of human professionals like me are and always will be decisive in public people management, but AI will provide more time more capacity, and better information to do so. You know, do we have a data to support this? I have gone through multiple research and I find that 40% of the HR functions of international companies currently are using AI applications. Till about 5 years ago, most of these companies were still US based or Europe based, but slowly Asian organizations are catching up. But of late, they are speeding up in this part of the world, especially with India playing a major role. More and more global business leaders see the value of AI supporting the management of their workforce. As per a recent research I've read somewhere, that 50% of the global organizations will invest in data analytics to find and develop talent and keeping people engaged to the organization. And 63% are rethinking the role of human resource department. I like to term AI as augmented intelligence, not artificial intelligence, as I believe that there is nothing artificial about it. This technology brings a fundamental change in the nature of work by enabling man and machines to make decisions together. It makes us do things we couldn't have done otherwise. For example, I spoke about the car company, the car ride share company. This business exists because of the combination of programs that organize this service. AI powers and directs this, and uniquely, the human traits that we have, such as emotional intelligence, persuasion, creativity, innovation, become more valuable by this coexistence of man and machine. This augmented intelligence is not going to remain augmented for a long time. Through refined machine learning, it will evolve as autonomous intelligence, still AI, but autonomous intelligence if it has not already happened. This would be that the most advanced form of technology is relying on AI, establishing machines that act on their own and reach out to the subconscious level of information. An example of this will be the self-driving vehicles, which have already in the market and when they come to more widespread use. But we also see algorithms automatically and autonomously take decision making in the selection processes. This creates a new industry of data science, data governance, data ethics, privacy, and data security, because these are the things which will come up as a result of AI. Automation, robotics, and AI are advancing quickly, dramatically changing the nature and the number of jobs available and the way we organize our work relations. The potential for digital platforms and AI to underpin and grow the world of work is unbounded and tremendous. Now, let me share a few examples from my own experience where organizations in India have successfully used AI and machine learning in enhancing their people-related process. The area most of the companies are utilizing this are to enhance employee experiences in recruitment, gaining insights, knowledge management, and from the huge amount of data that is available. We are all aware of recruitment 4.0, which is being led by AI. The growing needs of the recruitment industry have fueled the popularity of AI, machine learning, and robotic process automation. The three combined together are having a huge impact on the hiring process of many companies. In one of the companies I helped as a startup, I have seen the growth of apps that promotes touchless hiring. After a 5-7 minute video in which the candidate responds to questions relevant to the position, a detailed cognitive analysis of 48 attributes is carried out, like the eyeball movement, the twitching of the facial muscles, the choice of words, tone, intonation, emotion, and based on this, a personality fit report is generated in a matter of minutes and is generated for the recruiter to take a call on. Companies which have used this methodology have seen on an average 70% reduction in cost of hiring and almost 75% reduction in time taken and increased hiring accuracy. Such solutions provide an opportunity to focus on the quality of hiring over the quantity and is also seen as reducing bias and error of human judgment. However, everyone believes that such automated hiring is done in a very transparent, fair, merit-based manner. Caution, merit as a criteria is hugely influenced by privilege, when setting up the machine learning algorithms, and we need to be cautious about it. For example, the way hiring is often influenced by contacts and networking has its own privileges. The way people look at cultural fit as a criteria can be a way of reinforcing this privilege. Even surface level factors like how well the person presents themselves, how well they speak English, or which convent they came from, or which place path they came from can be exclusionary and is absolutely necessary for us to be cognizant of this unintentional bias that creeps in when algorithms are developed. Let me share another example from an organizational development area. I was mentoring a group of young entrepreneurs who, as a part of their startup, used AI, to build a huge database by scanning the entire data available on the web and published sources related to some specific industries globally. They map these organizations, their structural hierarchy, their roles, the competencies for each of these roles, and together a comprehensive data base with best practices related to the organization structure and roles in that industry. Then they market it to companies in such an industry and ask them only for their present organization structure, roles, and access to the personal details of their employees, of the role holders, including their entire work history prior to and in the company, performance data, training, and what they have gone through as training. They then used algorithms to map these and scrub the data and presented an ideal org structure, role and identity, and the gaps in the organization structure, as well as the gaps in the competencies of the existing role holders based on the data presented. It was a fascinating experience for me to look at that. And they also given a tie-up with numerous online training providers to help organizations identify and enroll them for training to bridge the gaps so identified. They also helped in monitoring the progress of the employee. And all this actually provided the business head as well as HR a clear visibility of how the needle is moving against the plans that were envisaged. Now, they went ahead and tweaked these algorithms a bit more and used this in one of the most critical and talked about process in any company, career and succession planning for the employees of the organization. Everything automated by AI. Very fascinating indeed. And the advent of AI has also provided employees with an ability to have a greater share of voice and ability to participate in creating their own experiences. This has also provided an accelerated move from employee engagement to employee experience. Basically, this move means how do we manage the interaction of the employee through their entire life cycle with the organization? The way the employee touches or feels the interaction with the organization and vice versa. This digitization through AI and machine learning helps moving them from what we call as moments of truth to moments that matter, MOT to MOM. With the advent of AI, the design of HR practices can be hyper personalized now, which is the need of the hour to meet the needs of the multi-generational workforce. As you're aware, many repetitive HR applications are being replaced by digital assistants and HR bots. Learning has become practical, customized, and just in time, with not a long-term enrolling for a course and waiting, a short-term learning masterizing skills. Machines will dominate repetitive and rule-based work, and humans shine in creating non-linear pursuits. Today, you can file fully automated cloud-based talent management integrated systems that support every stage of the employee lifecycle and integrate them with existing HR management systems. They are equipped with robust analytics and reporting capabilities that help HR and business teams effortlessly analyze what is happening among your workforce. All this eventually, the lines between business and people management will start blurring, wiping away functional silos within which HR operates. Better integration may fundamentally change the role of professionals in HR centers of excellence, where they are divided by functions such as recruiting, compensation, training, development, career. But when information systems and career, when information systems help in enabling talent management to become truly integrated with business across processes, these functional boundaries between talent management may no longer continue to make sense. And it won't stop here. As mobility applications develop and people spend more of their work and personal time on technology platforms, they will leave an even larger digital trail of information that can be tracked, integrated, and analyzed as well. Already, you are aware that enterprises like Google are analyzing a wide array of data on people's lives, such as what magazines someone subscribes to, or what sites they visit, what interests them, what is their hobby, to create statistically valid predictors of performance at work. For example, companies have determined through a quantitative analysis that ability to take initiative is far better predictor of a high performance on the job rather than academic records from prestigious schools. In the future, companies will integrate traditional business and talent data with big data obtained from social and local data sources. That is, tweets, your blog posts, your customer service feedback, your GPS coordinates, and much more, to get a complete picture of their workforce abilities, wants, and needs, which is beyond the day to day interaction which you have with an employee. Data and the insights it yields may eventually trump the processes in terms of relative importance. The ability to statistically determine the key drivers of performance and productivity, micro segments will be based on hard data. So, if you look at it, in order to improve talent management and take full advantage of potential AI, the AI offers in developing much more ethical HR systems. And to develop that, need to focus on developing much more ethical AI. Of course, removing by AI bias from AI is not easy. It's very hard. But my argument is based on my belief that it is far more feasible than removing it from the human themselves. Human bias is much more stronger. And using AI, we can reduce that bias. So, while the powerful computing capability available today has increased the focus on AI and is bound to impact everything we do, it will surely not be able to replace everything. And as leaders of organization, we should change our mindsets to embrace this revolution, to augment our own capabilities and give way to smarter people, smarter machines, and hence smarter businesses. Thank you for such a opportunity and have an enriching time for the rest of today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raja, for that riveting session. So, digital intelligence is here to stay, and the future of work, undoubtedly, as Raja said, is autonomous intelligence. Like someone said, indeed, with great technology comes great responsibility. So, moving on with that thought, we move on to our next session. Navigating the ethical and legal implications of AI in human resources is a complex challenge, and it requires careful consideration. As we increasingly embrace AI technologies in mainstream HR, it becomes imperative to address ethical concerns, do's and don'ts around the technology. To unravel the intricate landscape of AI in HR and the role of ethics and law for good governance, for AI, we bring to you our next very interesting session with Mr. Sugata Datta from Wood India Private Limited. Mr. Sugata Datta is a director and head of HR strategy and EVSE business at Wood India Private Limited, which is a subsidiary of Wood Group, a global leader in trade of fastening and assembly materials. In his earlier stint, he has served as executive vice president and head of human resources at Kotak Mahindra, Kotak General Insurance Limited, and has enjoyed leadership roles in media giants like Aaj Tak and Red FM. Mr. Datta is a mechanical engineer by qualification and a gold medalist in industrial training. He was won prestigious awards, including the Golden Peacock National Training Awards. Mr. Datta has also been recognized by World HR Congress as India's top 40 HR leaders and Asia's 50 HR leaders. It's an honor to have him as our next guest speaker. We also have Raghu Kaimal, who is sales head for TCS CHROMA, along with him. Please welcome Mr. Sugata and Mr. Raghu.
Thank you so much, Brinda. I'm very glad that we are starting today's session with a very relevant and important topic. So, welcome Sugata to the fourth edition of CHROMA InnerCircle. Let me directly jump into the questions here. So, Sugata, we have seen technological advancements in the past where technology turned out to be the disruptor. How, but never we have seen scenarios where policies are designed for good governance and ethical use of technology. What's your take on recent development on this area?
Okay, I think in the area of artificial intelligence, which you're talking about, before we jump into the governance issues, I would like to put it in context because AI can mean many various things to various people. So what we hear mostly is what is called generative AI. So ChatGPT is a class of them. Then we also hear things like AI can be a threat to humans. Okay. We have had movies like the Terminator series way back in 80s, where AI and humans fought a war in a fictional context. So I think the first thing is the differentiation between humans and AI, because human beings can think, feel, and perceive, and a lot of it what we call emotions. Now, stuff like generative AI can certainly think because we are teaching them algorithms to learn, but feeling and perceiving is basically mimicked. It's not really actually feeling and perceiving, because the kind of AI which can do all these three things is certainly a technological singularity. And if that happens, then probably they can outpace the development of the human race by a very large margin. And that's something really you need to be scared of. But I think we are miles away from there. Even we are miles away from the next evolution of AI, which is called an artificial general intelligence, where they can be deployed in any sphere and they can learn without tweaking the algorithms behind it. So as far as I'm concerned, generative AI is the next level of evolution in automation with some thinking and learning capabilities. If you restrict the applications in which it's going to be used, especially where human safety, fundamental rights, judgments which matter in life and death, I think it will certainly enable progress, and nowhere income growth has happened without technological progress. And that's my take on the thing. I'm very sure that especially where freedom of expression, fundamental rights are highly valued, especially in the Western democracies. And the European Union has already got an act in place, which is called the AI Act, which certainly addresses this area. And probably one of the biggest factors is what is called human scoring, where societies are being developed where every action of yours is being watched. China has been at the forefront of development of human scoring technologies. And I think that will be a certain no-no in especially democracies, because you wouldn't like Big Daddy watching you at every second where you live. And you don't really want the movie The Truman Show, and you are the star of the show. That would be my take on the current state of AI. I believe that generative AI can help. It can bring in automation, progress, and efficiencies very quickly. But we must then steer clear of areas like you really don't want a generative AI to take a decision if you have met an accident, that whether to amputate your hand or leg. I think it's best left to the doctor and human judgment.
Very well said. Very well said. I can really, understand where you're coming from, and it makes a lot of sense to me. So thank you so much for that, opening remarks and the inputs you brought in here. So I'm saying this standards, and as you mentioned, standards and best practices definitely help in, actually drawing lines between responsible use of technology, as you rightly mentioned. So how HR practices are going to change with these kind of regulation, and plus how enterprise like us can prepare for this?
So let me give my take on a few things. In fact, if I look at the previous advent of technology, which was the cloud, and many people feel that HR functions are really backward in technology. But you guys being from TCS would probably be able to inform me better. But I understand that HR cloud adoption was faster than finance cloud adoption. And even till date, the HR function actually has got into the previous advent, which was cloud, much faster than probably sales or even finance. So I guess that even in the area of generative AI and its applications, HR won't be very far behind, because there are a whole lot of tasks in HR which require automation with some amount of thinking behind it, and especially anything to do with query handling. There are already chatbots in place. Generative AI can improve it. The area of any benefits processing, etc. The whole work can be done by generative AI. There are areas where job descriptions, contracts, etc. They can certainly be of great use of generative AI. Where I would hesitate to use generative AI is to make selection decisions. And because, as I said earlier, Gen AI can mimic thinking, feeling, and perceiving. It can think, but probably feeling and perceiving may not be there. So stuff like culture fit, whether the person will fit in, and also in applications, especially every company marks time and attendance for its employees to pay. We would certainly not want to live in a pressure cooker situation where social scoring is taking place within the company, and every minute of your time, an AI application is actually evaluating, and that will really create a hostile work environment. I think such areas we should actually not really get into as a function. And the applications on many of the repetitive tasks, many of the low judgment tasks. So I would say that the discrimination should happen on judgment, because typically one of the things about any function and any layer of hierarchy is the nature of judgments which we take. And the more complex the judgment is, that can entirely not be a thinking decision only. So fair amounts of empathy, fair amounts of perception, intuition, conceptual thinking, they get into it. And probably generative AI will not be a great tool to use there. That would be my take on it. So organizational development decisions, key talent selections. But if you ask that, can we use it for CV screening? Possibly yes. But if you are asking for, say, scoring on engagement to the company, I would say certainly no. So so that judgments have to be exercised as to where you want to use it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Totally agree with you. I think you mentioned that we need to have a human in the loop always. Plus, we should have the creative and the empathy and all that you mentioned. Definitely agree with you. Thank you. Thank you so much for those, valuable insights out here. I think you already mentioned about buyers and, how. So maybe I'll put across this question to you in case if you want to add more pointers towards this. See, so how we will really use human oversight, to, let's say, mitigate this unintended consequences of AI or Gen AI, what you mentioned, right? So any other pointers you want to bring in, like how we will mitigate
I
this?
have a very contrarian view to bias,
Mhm,
because any human being,
mhm.
including me and you, are also a package of biases.
Absolutely.
We can also have been trained several times on bias training, and I'm very sure I have not left my biases, and neither have you. We are very tribalistic people by nature. And I think AI can also be put to use to have certain areas where probably where you want some unbiased opinion also. So let's talk about diversity today. So I'm very sure if you ask predominantly male top management, middle management force to throw out the next generation of leaders, bias will creep in. Okay. And the same humans whose oversight we so much valued in our previous uh, question will probably not look so precious, because it will also be filled with candidates full of bias. So probably an AI application to churn out the candidates may actually have lesser bias than
Than the
the
human.
human approach one.
Agreed with you.
So it depends on how we look at it. So I think generative AI is also a fact of the programming. So bias creeps into it, and if the culture of the place where AI will mimic is full of bias, the generative AI solution will also throw out decisions on bias. So we need to be watchful.
So it's all about how you design the entire.
Design it, and also how is your existing culture, because the AI will be working in a certain cultural context.
Absolutely.
And it will learn within that context.
No, agree with you completely. No, can't agree more with you on this. And maybe I think since you covered more or less all possible, pointers here, probably I will have one final question to you in terms of how probably in your, let's say, a professional career, you would have used AI or specifically to the HR function. If you have any pointers towards that.
See, as on date, my current company is delving with it at the head office. We have really no guidelines on using it as on date. We are expecting it shortly, especially generative AI.
Okay.
Bots, etc., which were a previous evolution, are always there. But the generative AI application, but I can tell you that there are at least 7 to 8 apps in iPhone itself where you can use generative AI applications. I know that employees have tried to short circuit their process of their new JD to be developed or a new contract to be developed. Purchase managers are looking at agreements, leasing managers are looking at lease agreements. So even without corporate blessings, the general employees are adopting it at a much faster rate. So probably I would say that most organizations will be behind the curve, and employees actually are faster on the curve on adopting it.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely on bang on, because I've seen this, in most of the organization. In fact, in sales also, we have seen how you create a very simple, let's say, email. You can use generative AI.
Yes,
really
absolutely.
agree with you. Yeah. So thank you, Sugata. It's a really enriching discussion, and I think a lot of personal experience and your professional experience you are able to bring into the discussion. So really appreciate this, and thank you so much for joining us. So over to you, Brinda.
Thank you, Raghu. Thank you,
Thank you
Brinda.
so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sugata and Mr. Raghu, for such a wonderful session. We certainly need to ensure that AI is used responsibly and ethically to enhance rather than undermine human well-being in the workplace. We now move on to our next session, Building Diversity and Inclusion Using AI-Enabled Workplace Culture. In the recent years, increasingly enterprises have been shifting to their focus towards framing diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and hiring DEI specialists. There has been enough intelligence to suggest that diversity and inclusion adds to the overall productivity of any organization. A recent survey conducted by Boston Consulting Group in 8 countries and across industry domains revealed that companies with more diverse management teams were more innovative in their solutions and have typically achieved 19% higher revenues. It wouldn't be wrongful to claim that fostering an environment of diversity, equity, and inclusion will remain the top priority for organizations defining the future of work. To discuss the intricacies of this with us, we have Ms. Poonam Bharti, Executive Director and CHRO Shriram Pistons and Rings Limited. Ms. Poonam is a stellar HR professional with more than 25 years of experience in strategic and operations HR. She's currently serving as the Executive Director and Chief Human Resource Officer at Shriram Pistons and Rings. Her experience has encompassed multiple industries such as automation, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, IT services, and more. She has also built her presence in the industry while serving multiple organizations like Wanbury Limited, McCormick and Company, and Sun Pharmaceuticals, amongst others. She's also an alumni of Tata Institute of Social Sciences with a degree in MA Human Resources. We also have with us Mr. Shantanu Das, who's delivery head for TCS CHROMA. So please welcome Ms. Poonam and Mr. Shantanu.
Thank you, Brinda. Thank you. The diversity and inclusion policy framework and its execution will undoubtedly define the future of work. Interestingly, enterprises of today are increasingly recognizing the employee well-being as an extremely critical for business success. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs top the list of an organization's social well-being initiatives that has been translated into stronger financial statements. Now, to discuss diversity, equity, and inclusion and the role of AI in the scheme of things, I am joined by Ms. Poonam Bharati, CHR of Chirag Pistons. Hello, Poonam. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Welcome to this current edition of CHROMA InnerCircle.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me begin by asking, what is your take on DEI in general and its importance to the enterprises of the future?
Yeah, I think DEI most often talked about these days, I think is if I would say implicit to Indian culture, even as a country, we are a land of diversity. Maybe there are other cultures who have felt, a compulsive need to actually state it as a program, but ever since our childhood and growing up and in different settings, we've already seen that India is a diverse land, it's a land of diversity. So we are very much used to it. However, diversity, equity and inclusion, when they're put together in a workplace, it holds a certain type of strategic relevance because you need to have different cultures represented, you have different age groups represented. And moving on, these days is a conversation about neurodiversity, people with special abilities, people who have developed special skills, and to ensure that they get integrated into the work environment. So diversity certainly brings in huge amount of value in terms of different ideas, innovation. It brings in an opportunity for people from different realms of the society to be integrated on the spectrum, on the intelligence spectrum, to be integrated into a workforce. And therefore it is actually something which is very good, because what is going to differentiate industry today? It's just going to be the thoughts, innovation, creativity, and leadership around all of that, right? So as if the workforce is increasingly diverse and very well represented, then obviously we know that there are studies, like Brinda just said, even in McKinsey, there have been multiple studies which have got published that organizations that have diversity are far ahead of the curve compared to the other organizations which are restrictive. Coming to the second part, which is equity, which is not the same as equality, as we all understand. It's basically equity, meaning there's parity. There is adequate care at all levels in the organization. An organization is also a structured organism, right, with different levels, different layers, and to make sure that everybody gets a just and a fair treatment, have access to all the information, is what equity stands for. And the last part is basically inclusion, which means actually diversity and equity come to home in inclusion, because what's the point of having diversity if we don't have an inclusive culture where everybody has a voice in the organization? In a true democratic, good work culture and a healthy work environment, you hear and you include variety of thoughts, variety of ideas, and everybody finds representation. So this is what DEI is all about, in my understanding. It's not often only as a gender diversity, but it's like multiple facets getting represented. So in my understanding, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely, Poonam. Thanks for your insightful information. I mean, as you rightly mentioned, all the various aspects of DEI. It was really well said. As we now understand the importance of DEI for an organization, and now with advancement of artificial intelligence, we would like to understand in what way do you see AI being utilized to incorporate DEI culture within an organization, and possibly what role AI can play to create an kind of inclusive environment?
Oh, well, Shantanu, actually, when I was listening to the previous speaker, and I could also understand, I think beyond, why this entire conversation about AI and DEI in an organization setup is also because we understand that while we know that AI can do a lot of stuff for us, wherever there's a repetitive task, wherever there is boredom, and wherever there is lots of data which is involved, AI definitely has an advantage. And I'll answer your question specifically later. But one thing which I've realized, and I think what I've been thinking about also, is that it is collaborative intelligence, which is far more important than just only having AI as a separate one, because there is absolutely no way in which you can, kind of totally eliminate the human angle of it. When you say, AI assisting DEI, AI actually, basically these are tools, whatever is the input, the outcome is as good. So a huge algorithm, I mean, huge data can be managed through these tools and algorithms, which can actually help us to, help all the HR professionals right from the R&R, what we say, right from recruitment to retirement, in the entire life cycle processes. There are so many things that we can actually use this. But again, as I said, in collaborative form, not just only use AI, but also use AI with human intervention. And you know why I say it? While we all want to eliminate bias, but we also want to differentiate performance. So there's this balance that we need to find, a little bit of a paradox. While we want to totally eliminate bias, but we also want to know which people are performing better, who are not performing better, who are the good potential candidates for future, who are the future leaders and who are not. So anyways, coming back to this, right from recruitment, and I think this has been said over and over again, I'll not be making a different point, that in recruitment, if we can introduce a bias, which is a healthy bias, saying that, this is the kind of, when we go for diversity and we say we have a target that we want to actually, we have, like, let's say 10% of the working population should be women. Actually, it is not eliminating biases, introducing bias into the tool and saying, this is what I want you to search by, right? So, and then in that case, the reach to a large number of data very, very fast can be done. So it helps us in efficiency in recruitment, and we can actually have a reach to multiple, cloud-based data or any kind of information which is available for all those applicants which are there present in India or overseas can be reached. So therefore, AI is certainly helpful. When you come to couple of, and I think as a HR head or as a HR professional, what is a normal complaint that people have about HR? That, response time is not as good. We have queries, they want to have an interface. They also want the response time to be very, very fast. But at the same time, like many other departments, even HR department has a certain limitation in terms of structure, and the number of people who are available 24/7 to respond to human crisis or any kind of human questions or queries. So whatever are the repetitive questions, whatever, so we can build some kind of a mechanism through which those queries can be instantly addressed. So there's a 24/7 assistant which is there. I suddenly am in the hospital. I want to get some information related to how do I access a TPA or my card, my health card or my insurance card. And immediately I just go onto the company website and I can use some kind of a tool to figure out how do I actually fill in that form, etc. So that HR response time, largely recruitment is a very common one, but HR response time in terms of being there available for the employees, that can be done. Secondly, again, taking a very unique example of how would I like to make, how would I like to build an investment portfolio? So many a time, while we give good bonuses and good salaries to our people, and all of us keep working, people have this thing, they say, oh, people in finance and HR really know how to make investments. That's not the truth. We are as dumbfounded like many others. So using AI tools which are assistive to employees, where they can actually take this kind of assistance, have access to policies, but at the same time can also do financial modeling for them, saying this is your CTC, how, this is your flexi package, and if this is what you do with it, how much salary you're going to take home, and how can you invest for future? How can you invest in retirement plan? Many people want to talk about it to me, but I don't really have the bandwidth to be able to do that. So we can build in these kind of, assistive programs through AI tools to build, to create some kind of a platform where people can access this information and they can do it instantly, right? Other than this, of course, things like mentoring, coaching, all those have to be done personally, which I don't think so. There's a lot of solution available. One more thing which comes to my mind when I was looking at this and I was listening. Another thing is very importantly, psychometrics is used these days, right? Even in the selection process, not just the filtering of the resumes, but also making some kind of a predictive analysis about, let's say, an individual's personality at a certain leadership level, attention to detail or strategic thinking. How do you assess that? So with the large amount of data and some kind of psychometric tool, we can build an AI tool which can actually help me do a selection even on the psychometric side very well. So these are some of the ideas which I think one can actually use. Of course, you can use it for training, but that is very regularly done. You can have different AI tools which can actually help learning at your own pace, at your own convenience, 24/7. So there are multiple things that can be done through AI tools if used well. And if they're feasible, if it is affordable, so every organization would its own.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you rightly mentioned, AI can be used in various use cases. And of course, HR inbuilt, it is human resources inbuilt. Okay, it is all about human. So subjectivity is always involved there. So definitely some human touch is required. So definitely AI cannot completely replace human, but yes, it can ease the way. However, it is noticed that as always, there has been some discussions on the wage disparities across industries. Okay, for an example, women are perceivably paid less than men. Do you think AI can also play an important role to reduce such gaps?
Yeah, so not directly, but indirectly, there are applications that one has to apply their mind to think how can AI tools actually help us to reduce the disparity. So one of the reasons why probably women get, I mean, it's not normally in every organization, but the perception is generally like that is only because women do take breaks in their jobs, for example, or women, because of certain kind of a demographic background, may not have access to great education, and they may not have had equal opportunity in terms of education. It's a very deeply socioeconomic kind of a bias, which kind of puts women at a back footing, not essentially always by the organization. So for example, we'd like to hire as many women, but then they should be willing to work in our manufacturing plants. We have to ensure their safety, etc., which I don't think so. Anything around that can be done by AI. But what we can do through AI tools is, all the learning tools which we have through AI, and also, some kind of opportunities which can be provided to improve women's education and learning. Similarly, when they take breaks for maternity or they take breaks due to some other reason, there can be AI tools which can actually help them to continue performing while they're on those breaks, and not really not let a dip happen in their productivity. So I think because of those reasons, if we can compensate for that, and then we can encourage more and more women to enter the workforce at the senior level. I'm not talking about the junior level. If India's story is not the same as many other countries, I think we have a lot of women who've come into the workforce, also in diverse type of professions. But then this could be the only one or two reasons. Other than that, there's an individual bias why we would want to pay women less, maybe more specific to some industries. But there's also a bias with men, not really only women. This is my view. It is not really fair to say that it is only a bias against women.
Correct. I think that, I mean, Pesat, you have answered to my next question, actually, that what kind of challenges also we can see while implementing AI in DI. I mean, biasness is one of the key challenges, right? And the human aspect of it. Now, moving on, as we implement AI for DEI initiatives, it is very important to measure the effectiveness as well. Do you have a kind of a yardstick to measure the effectiveness of AI-driven diversity and inclusion initiatives in the workplace?
Yeah, so there is certainly a way to measure the effectiveness of any of these tools that we want to use, depending on our ability to clearly connect them with the outcome that we are wanting. So say if we are using an AI tool to ensure that there's an improvement of performance through giving some learning inputs, then obviously from time to time we can measure that having implemented AI, do we really see a surge in more number of people who are actually enrolling for their programs? Because analytics can be done and we can always find out, right? So we have a program called OD, and we normally want to see how many people have been actually actively using it. This could be one of the indication. What they've absorbed and implemented at workplace is a secondary issue, but one can see how it is getting actually impacted and deployed across the organization. So depending on what goal and purpose for which you have deployed the tool, one can actually link a metric with it and certainly can measure the effectiveness, right? So let's say if you have a help desk query, you can see how many number of tags which have actually, how many people have actually put in a query and how many of those queries were satisfactorily answered. We can also do culture surveys. We can do surveys specific to the AI tool and find out from the customers, internal customers who are using it, saying whether they find it useful or not. So you continuously have all these, right from these days grocery delivery apps and food apps, and everyone does ask you for feedback to see whether different parameters of delivery were they were satisfied or not. Similarly, we can also do it in an organization, right?
Correct. Yeah, as you rightly said, it is a feedback, right? Machine learning learns by itself. I mean, more and more data, more and more experience you fit into the model, it gives you a better outcome. So that is exactly the the effectiveness of AI, how we can continuously measure and make the adjustments and make the benchmarking so that we can reach up to an optimum efficiency. Do you envision any potential risks associated with relying too heavily on AI for diversity and inclusion, just specifically on DEI area?
Yeah, to start off with itself, when I said that, it is not, it's an assistive tool, right? At the end of the day, it cannot replace a human judgment, and we all understand that, right? So it is as intelligent, and intelligence can be applied in both ways. It cuts both ways, right? So as I said, it is just a tool. A tool you cannot just, kind of outsource everything to the tool itself. It's like a grinder. It'll grind whatever you put in. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
In the content or the output. It is just a process. So it is as good as the people's expectation who are using it. As I said, it can be used to eliminate bias if that is the purpose. It can also be used to input the bias if that is something that you're wanting to do. So if you only want to hire, let's say, less than 50 age group, only women from Maharashtra, then I can do that in that tool. So the danger is that it will not eliminate the need for us to sensitize people who are using it. That while we use it as a tool, it should remain as a tool only. It should not replace human sensitivity, empathy, one-on-one touch. That cannot be done. Secondly, after all, Gen AI is probably different. It's like, there are developments happening every day. Just like all at the workplace today, as a head of HR, I can tell you, we are also dealing with the problems of technology, right? So we have, while we have the IP laws, I'm just taking it, I'm diluting the AI question to
that's okay.
Technology, if you permit me. So for example, having phones at sell place and having a diverse workforce again has its own disadvantages. Absolutely. Right? People want to be connected 24/7. It's a safety risk on the shop floor where we are, when people are walking around, around the machines, which could be very, very dangerous, right? There is a problem in terms of the breach of the confidentiality, because you can actually picture a process and you can actually post it online. Then there are males and females of all age groups working. There is again a possibility. So at any technology, Shantanu, for that matter, we are constantly catching up with the effect of what possibly could happen. Some of this remains to be seen around AI. And as I said, my limited understanding as of date says that any technology or a tool has to be used the way it is, what it is. It is actually only a tool, and that's it. You can use it for both things. Like with a knife, you can cut anything.
Absolutely.
Same thing, the technology is also like that.
Yeah, intelligence is also kind of a knife, you can cut you across, and it is like that. So we can, as a human, we can suffer our intelligence as well. So that is the paradox.
And you're constantly catching up with ways to mitigate any kind of risk. Some of them we can understand and anticipate. Some of them we are not able to understand.
Okay. Definitely this risks needs to be taken care of while implementing AI, right? As you rightly mentioned. How important do you think the leadership buy-in and their commitment is important, right, in successfully implementing AI in diversity and inclusion?
100%. I think like any other, when you reach a certain scale in an organization, you see managing an organization of 100 people is very different from managing an organization of 1,000 people and then 9,000 people. So when you have more diverse, more scattered workforce, and and you want to include all of them, you want to make sure there's equity for everyone, we have to use tools such as AI to actually help us to make sure that everybody's opinion is integrated. There are these surveys. Whenever we formulate a policy, we can take feedback on the policy. So there are a lot of advantages to this. It comes with a cost. So therefore, the management has to be pro technology. If the management is pro technology and they're committed to making that investment, because the results may not be immediately evident. It's not like, you invest today and you get an ROI tomorrow. It has to be kind of seen over a period of time. So therefore, management commitment is extremely, extremely important. They put in good money and they must see that there is a good outcome of whatever investments go in, both in terms of not just time, but effort as well. So I think the buy-in is extremely critical. And with changing times, I think when you reach a certain scale of operations across countries and this thing, I think this will have to be an imperative. I'm sure it sets a lot of strategic plans for many companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, without management or the leadership blessings, definitely that cannot be implemented in an organization. It's very, very true. So finally, moving on to my last question, Poonam, for this evening for you. Any advice to the technology providers like us, TCS, how better we can serve the HR function to support you in establishing DEI initiatives for using AI?
I think it is about having a continued conversation. Since I've worked with a technology company as well, and there HR used to be a part of the pitch that we used to be making to the clients, of course representing what kind of skill sets and capabilities we possess. But I think very important for you and us to work together in terms of understanding what are the genuine challenges that we have at workplace. How can HR itself or an organization leadership itself make itself more effective and efficient? Time is certainly a challenge. How do we actually become more? Accuracy is sometimes a challenge. So all those problems that we face is basically if you can understand and support us with that, and that can only happen through mutual dialogue, conversation, and understanding what is feasible and fungible. If you can keep providing optimized, cost optimized, but good technology solutions which can help us become more efficient, I'm sure everybody is going to love it.
Sure. So that's brilliant. Thank you, Poonam, for all your insights. I mean, it was really a learning experience for all of us, I'm sure. DEI being a sensitive HR topic and introducing AI brings much more value and effectiveness in the process, as we all understood by now. At the same time, it carries its own risks, right? Hence, even AI can help in throwing relevant data and predictions to you, but we as a human, we need to take the conscious decisions, right? So that it is ultimately leads to the better outcomes, both for the organization as well as the society as a whole. Okay. So that was Ms. Poonam Bharati, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and found the perspective enriching. Thank you. Signing off for the day. Over to you, Brinda.
Thank you so much, Poonam and Shantanu, for this fantastic session. We really had a great time. So moving on, is the audience game for some refreshing, brain-tickling infotainment? So it's trivia time, and I will pass the baton to my colleague, Uzma Javeed.
Thank you, Brinda. So good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to present you today, and I welcome you all to this thrilling session. So over the next few minutes, we will deep dive into the dynamic world of human resources where buzzwords and myths coexist. We'll unpack different nature buzzwords that are reshaping the workplace and the myths that often surround the integration of AI and HR. So buckle up, it's going to be an exhilarating ride where I'll be first spotlighting the buzzwords in HR. So let's kick off from ghost jobs. We have the enigmatic world of ghost jobs, and these jobs are just the postings that are not intended to be filled, but are used to collect the candidate data or to gauge the market interest. These are hidden in the shadows of organizational structures. Next up, that's digital nomad. So who wouldn't want the freedom to work from anywhere? Even I do. But it's not just about the remote work trend, it's a lifestyle that's embracing the technology to unleash the potential of a global, flexible workforce. It's like people who leverage the internet connectivity and work from anywhere. Okay, hustle culture. That's more than just a motivational hashtag, embracing the grind, the passion, and the drive to achieve goals. Also, remember, it's not about burning, it's about finding the sweet spot where hard work meets sustainable success. So, basically, the culture that encourages the employees to work more than normal to advance their careers. Eva Harding. So it's not about stockpiling workers like canned goods in a pantry. It's about strategically maintaining a workforce that's ready for action. It's all about having the right people in the right place at right time, like when organizations keep employees during the tough economic times, such as recession. So instead of laying them off, they assume it will save costs in the long term. Okay, ever heard of monk mode? Well, I believe you might have. It's not about joining a monastery, it's about immersing yourself fully in a task or project. Fostering unparalleled focus and productivity, finding your monk mode can be basically the peak performance quality. It can be the key to unlock the peak performance actually. And that's when somebody shuts out all outside distractions and give their whole attention to a single job. Next on our list is the concept of bare minimum Mondays, which means setting realistic priorities, not about the laziness. It's a new viral trend that suggests reducing Monday performance pressure to elevate the anxiety for the start of a new week, a work week. Because it's a new viral trend, it's basically believed that sometimes doing less can lead to accomplishing more. So let's redefine the productivity and celebrate the art of simplifying work. Last but one is proximity bias, the tendency of leadership to favor employees in the office. This outdated assumption that people are more productive in the office than at home is a key driver of proximity bias. It's not just about the physical distance, it's about recognizing the impact of biases in our virtual and physical work environment. So let's break down the barriers and embrace the diversity beyond immediate proximity. Finally, the lazy girl job. That's not being lazy, it's about working smarter, not harder. So let's challenge traditional notions of productivity by finding efficient ways to get the job done without unnecessary stress. So this was about buzzwords in HR. Now moving to the myths of AI in HR. Myth one is the fear of AI will replace employees when it outperforms them in current tasks. Well, AI is not replacing, but it's augmenting the human capabilities. We should explore how AI and human collaboration can lead to unprecedented achievements. It enhances the task and coexists with employees. Myth two, the belief that HR leaders are hesitant to implement AI-powered tools still concerns. So it's time to debunk this myth and understand how AI can enhance HR functions, making them more efficient and strategic. Because AI deployment is accelerating, the HR leaders are actually exploring AI use cases. Myth 3 says about the misconception that we need large number of data to use AI effectively. But the quality is, it's not just the quantity is also crucial. Even small amounts of data can be valuable for starting with an AI. So many solutions have built-in data sources or can use data from existing HR systems. As you use AI, the data insights will improve and further enhance its effectiveness. So do explore how AI can make meaningful insights with the modest data sets. Myth 4, the notion that AI is inherently biased and unfair. But it depends on the data and the algorithm we feed it, as AI algorithm can perpetuate the biases if trained on biased data. So by being mindful of biases, we can ensure fairness and equity in AI applications. Myth 5, the belief that AI is heartless and will destroy morale. Oh, that's quite the opposite. When implemented thoughtfully, AI can elevate mundane tasks, allowing the HR professionals to focus on more fulfilling and impactful work. It optimizes the HR function that can build the relationships and improve the people process. Myth 6, that's the fear of AI uses face scanning technology, judging me on behaviors and attributes I can't control. So let's demystify this myth and understand the ethical considerations in AI applications, because AI technology helps a recruiter or the HR professional make decisions by automatically analyzing a candidate's response, about their experience, their competencies. They're critical to assume that role or pursue. Myth 7, that's the concern that AI will end the HR function. So far from it, AI can streamline processes, enabling the HR professionals to focus on strategic, people centric initiatives, because it's about augmentation, not elimination. So AI is highly useful in transforming HR and the workforce. AI reduces the human bias, it increases the efficiency, and also improves the relationships with employees. So, as we conclude, remember, it's not just about the words themselves or the reality of myths you got to know today, but understanding the trends, adapting to change, and staying ahead of the curve. Thanks for joining me on this linguistic adventure. Until next time, stay awesome and innovative. Let's keep redefining the way we work. Thank you. Back to you, Binda.
Thank you, Uzma, and welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the quick burst of brain power. Now let's put our monk mode and entrench the fascinating world of artificial intelligence again. AI has become indispensable in business operations, offering solutions that mimic human thinking and streamline tasks. As AI continues to penetrate various sectors, it's now making significant strides in the realm of recruitment. Are you wondering if AI can truly understand human potential? Or maybe you're curious about the ethical considerations of using AI in recruitment. Stay tuned because we will be tackling this throughout our next conversation for the evening. Let's uncover the role of AI in reshaping the future of hiring with insights from Mr. Vaibhav Date. Mr. Vaibhav Date is Head of Human Resources for Bajaj Finserv Asset Management Limited. In this role, he is instrumental in setting up the leadership team and empowering them to lead the people force while defining the core fabric of the organization. Prior to this, as head talent management at Bajaj Finserv Group, Vaibhav was instrumental in defining the talent strategy and the leadership DNA at Bajaj Finserv, while driving several talent initiatives. In this stint, he has led several talent projects which led to talent mobility across businesses and an influx of young talent to sustain long-term growth. We also have with us Ms. Smita Dage, who's delivery head for TCS CHROMA. So please welcome Mr. Vaibhav and Ms. Smita.
Thank you, Brinda. As you correctly said, the modern workspace landscape is continuously evolving. Attracting and retaining the top talent has become a challenging more than ever. And that's where the AI-powered talent acquisition strategies step in, promising to revolutionize the recruitment process. We are excited to have Mr. Vaibhav Date, Head Human Resources of Bajaj Finserv Asset Management Limited, joining us today to shed light on this topic. Good evening, Vaibhav, and thank you for joining this current edition of CHROMA InnerCircle.
Hi, Smita. Thanks for inviting me and having me on this conversation.
So let me begin by asking you, how can AI enhance the efficiency of the overall recruitment process? Also, do you believe that AI will play an integral role in shaping these talent acquisition process of the future?
Certainly. We all have been somewhere, either hiring managers or part of HR team. And we all do deal with a situation where every department or every manager wants their hiring to be done as of yesterday. Nobody comes with a plan saying, we want a resource to join us after so much time. And it's not only about the count of people in their team, it's also the quality of the resource that we are hiring. Now, the challenge that happens is balancing both quality as well as the count and the cost of the talent. And that's where we believe a hybrid approach of human experience and intuition clubbed with efficiencies of artificial intelligence can really help significantly change and improve the talent acquisition process, right? So typically, I do very strongly I'm convinced rather that yes, artificial intelligence would significantly change the way we look out for talent, we hire them and onboard them. Uh, I mean, just for a sake of an example, if you put out any particular job in any of the job portals, right, today, you receive hundreds of applications. Now, if I put a recruiter to scan through these CVs, there are two things that happens. One, um, a focus would be largely on the top bunch of CVs, and we would try and find out the most relevant CVs from among the initial chunk of the CVs that we scan through, and then proceed the process because there's the constant pressure on initiating and closing the offer, right? Possibly we would miss out on a good potential candidate whose CV we didn't even check. And unfortunately, and we have been talking about it in the previous conversation also, the biases that creeps in. And here, the biases which are largely unknown start creeping in, which makes the process all the more tricky. So,
Yeah.
so just a fact that we bring in a human intervention there, only post an AI has scanned through a large chunk of data, large chunk of CVs in a short period of time to basis their relevant experiences, skills, and a larger fitment. And then a human being steps in to kind of look at the fitment and then initiate the overall hiring process. So yes, certainly it will help and improve the productivity of the hiring team. And it's not only about, as I said, the stats for closing positions, but the quality will significantly improve.
Yeah, true. So AI software, as we see, it is widely accepted, and it's certainly, it is very efficient. It's kind of a game changer in the talent acquisition process, where it efficiently assists the recruiters and the HR teams in identifying and recruiting the new talent.
Very true.
And I'm sure you would also agree that we are kind of living in an era of experiences, that because experience matters. And because it shapes one's outlook towards a person, place, or an organization at a large.
Yeah.
So what impact do you think that the AI-powered talent acquisition will have on the candidate's experience and in turn the employer branding?
Interesting, I guess. Today it's a talent market, right? It's very well established that the employer who is able to attract the best talent is going to win that talent. The war for talent is definitely out there, and the way a prospective candidate or an employee perceives an organization is largely dependent upon the experience the individual has with that organization, and it starts from at every moment of truth the individual interacts with the brand or the organization itself. So experiences certainly define um, how the brand is perceived, and it will result into how the way we attract and the kind of talent that we attract and how the way we retain the right talent, right? Now, today, and the previous speaker was talking about it, one of the most broken piece in the entire experience with HR is no timely updates on where is my candidature, was the next step, or rather the feedback post the evaluation and the screening has happened. Um, this broken piece of information really spoils the experience. While some of the companies have tried automating um, certain messages and updates to the individual, but they're very standardized messages. I very strongly believe gone are the days when we can adopt a one-size-fit-all approach or adopt a very standardized communication. Where AI or technology solutions come into place, creating a hyper-personalized experience for an individual. Just imagine you applying for a process and you get a communication aligned to the way you prefer to consume data, or you prefer to receive that information, the time at which you prefer to receive that information, right? Your understanding of that organization or your experience with that organization has significantly gone up. And the moment that happens, the other challenge which we in HR grapple with is the typical dropout rate after the offer is closed will also start coming down significantly, because somewhere you've established some kind of a relationship and a bond with that organization. So it's not only attracting the right talent, you're also engaging that right talent and creating some kind of a strong psychological bond with with the organization and the brand itself. And just imagine we couple this up with some kind of a virtual assistant who's kind of guiding me through the entire journey, right from pre-interview to pre-onboarding and then onboarding. I guess the experience um, will be awesome for any individual to experience.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely agree with you, because right from the beginning, I mean, as soon as the candidate apply for a position, the bonding starts, as you correctly said.
Yeah.
And that's from that point onwards that experience starts. And I'm sure the kind of organization you belong to for the Bajaj, I understand what matters. The experience matters a lot.
Certainly.
Yes. Yeah. And so right now, I'm just imagining a situation, Weber, wherein a candidate isn't qualified but carries just the right temperament to join my team. Now, this is purely my judgment about this candidate. Now, AI will obviously discard this candidate because he or she doesn't fit into those predefined parameters or the qualification. Now, how can the enterprise ensure to strike a balance between the automation and the human touch in an AI-driven process, recruitment process?
So if you look at the past decade that went through, and everybody has been reading about ethical and the moral dilemma because of the technology advances, right? I mean, the self-driven car, and then we heard about, how would a self-driven car in a country like India, where there is no a systematic traffic movement happening, how will it really work out? So I guess that debate will continue to be as the technology advances. This debate is going to amplify further to arrive at how much is a right balance and a good balance between a human intervention and a technology. Um, so as I said in the beginning, it's a hybrid model that one needs to adopt. You can't completely keep away the human aspect and then just rely on technology and just blindly go with it. I mean, that's not how it is going to work. Especially when the consumer of the services, I mean, as an HR, if my consumer of my service is going to be a human being, then the relationship, the conversations, the empathy, everything is going to matter quite a bit, right? Well, there are certain elements of what you do in HR which can be simplified or which can be augmented further with technology, but you cannot get away from a human angle to the way you interact with the ecosystem or to interact with the people around you, right? You can't just copy, paste, and replace. Having said that, what is also important, which largely we need to factor in, is educating and making employees aware that collaborating with robots or collaborating with machine is a reality, right? They need to learn how to operate in this world where you're actually interacting and collaborating with a machine who seemingly could be a little more informed of things around what's happening. But that doesn't mean you need to um, not manage or not get used to working with those. You need to leverage those. You need to make sure that how it can help you further enhance your productivity and efficiency. So I guess it's going to be a dilemma and it will continue to grow further. It's only about awareness and making people informed that you can't blindly follow what the technology suggests you to do when it comes to human being.
Yes, yes, very true. So as how much ever the AI we bring in our life or the profession, I think the human aspects in this human resource, I think we cannot isolate it. Yeah. And it is
Absolutely.
extremely crucial. Yes.
Very true. Very true.
So when we talk about AI, the AI fits on a data. Now, the data privacy had always a concern when it comes to recruitment and hiring. So what steps the enterprises take to ensure that the data privacy and the security is maintained while using the AI in this talent acquisition process?
So ask any IT heads or a CISO, they will tell you how many sleepless nights they might be spending just to kind of, safeguard their data or bring in firewalls for their data. So every time we talk about any new tool or any new integrations, it goes through a massive conversation with that team to make sure that we are safeguarding data, because it's very, very important. More importantly, it's not you cannot really reach a destination saying, oh, I'm now safeguarded. My data is going to be completely protected, because we also need to understand the people on the other side who are trying to break into your data is also leveraging technology and AI to really breach into your data. So they are equally smart and sharp. So while you try to use AI and technology at your end, they're also trying to use the same to breach in your data. But what you can possibly do is put some safeguards and some safety precautions in place to make sure that your data is largely protected. You may want to look at how are you storing that data, whether it's encrypted, in which form, whether it's in your cloud, any applications, are they native clouds or non-native clouds? What kind of an integrations that you're doing, single integration, multiple integration, how is the data flow happening? And more importantly, what kind of legal agreements that you sign up. I mean, you do necessarily need to bring in your legal team to draft right terms so that the partner also safeguards your data. It's equally, he's an equal partner in making sure that he provides all the security measures to safeguard the data and hence the privacy that has been shared. So yeah, that's how it is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So choosing the right partner while we are adopting the technologies. So these aspects are also critical while adopting any tool for that matter. So looking ahead, how does the future look to you with AI in talent management? So do you foresee any trends in the evolution of the AI-driven talent acquisition strategies?
So the future is pretty promising because we have a technology play happening like never before. Interestingly, what is also happening is the cost of technology is significantly reducing, right? And because of the cost of technology reducing, there are multiple solutions getting built by several startup players out there. So apart from all areas within HR where AI will play out, be it immersive learning or development or experience, what I largely I'm personally excited about is leveraging this AI technology or any kind of a technology solutions to to make a shift from a performance management kind of an approach to performance enablement kind of an approach, right? So what I really mean is, let's say, just to kind of build on an analogy of cricket, right? I mean, a player typically gets to see a dashboard in terms of how many scores that he needs to make and in how many balls he needs to make. So it's more of a scoreboard as a dashboard. I mean, for somebody to go and review saying, you know what, this is how much you score. But just imagine a situation where a batter is actually getting information about or nudges about what to expect the next ball to be, right? And how you may want to play the next ball, right? So looking at who the bowler is, how has the previous trend been, with what kind of a player in what kind of a condition, what kind of a ball is he likely to throw, and then you have all this information to manage and channelize your actions to get the maximum score. Now, if I have to bring a same analogy closer to home, I mean, just imagine if I'm able to tell my sales team saying, listen, if you want to hit this number, if this is the kind of incentive you need to earn, why don't you look at this distributor or this customer, go and meet him. This is the product that you may want to sell him. This is more information about him. This is how you can build and initiate a conversation to build a better relationship and possibly um, give him the right know-how so that he's better equipped to close the deal. Because what is happening is the amount of information that is available out there is uniform for everyone. Everybody has the same access to the same data.
Yes.
What is going to differentiate is how do I use that data at that right time? And that data needs to be made available to me when I need it. Right? It has to be at a click of a button. You can't feed me entire data and then expect me to remember the data and process it at that point in time. So, I mean, while playing, I get to see on the dashboard itself saying, you know what, this is the ball that is going to come to you. Be prepared. and you score a 6. So that's how I believe technology can really help you change the way HR function is really imagined the HR to be.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So very nicely, you have used, you have explained maybe the use of predictive models, the HR analytics, when you talked about the dashboards, that would really help the, the HR partners to predict certain things while adopting this technology in their profession. Yeah. So any pro tips, Web of, or the advisories that you can provide for the HR tech companies like us, and how better can we serve with the AI technology?
So pro tips for people in HR, let me do two parts to it. People in HR possibly may want to learn about it, experiment it, and invest in it. Pro tip for service provider like you guys who bring technology to us, simplify the solution, get it in a cost-effective manner, build a very innovative proposition which really will help change the way HR not only consumes this information but kind of translates it back for driving productivity and performance.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that will sell in a market when it brings some value or the increases the productivity while using the technology, and that's where we can attract more HR professionals to use this technology going forward. Yeah,
absolutely. I completely agree with you that.
So many thanks for your interesting responses. Thank you all for patiently listening to this insightful conversation. Remember, although it's in essence the future of talent acquisition to me is exciting, it evolving, and AI will play a significant role in shaping it. So stay curious, explore the possibilities, and let's continue to mutually build a more efficient recruitment landscape. Until next time, thank you, Weber.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Over to you, Brinda.
Thank you so much, Weber. Thank you, Smita, for such an engaging session. It is indeed crucial to balance automation with human oversight to ensure fairness, transparency, and ethical use of AI in HR decision-making. Moving on, next in line is a panel discussion on fostering growth and productivity with AI-driven performance management. Let us understand how we can reinvent the workspace with an impressive panel of leaders. Please welcome Mr. Pradeep Mohanty, Vice President and HR, Oilmax Energy Limited. Pradeep is a vision and result-oriented HR professional with 24 plus years of HR experience across verticals. Mr. Mohanty has served at leadership levels at large enterprises including ZE Corp, Reliance Communication, and Tata Communication. A strategic executor with an ability to improve operations, impact business growth, and optimize capabilities, scalability through process improvements and people practice. Ms. Vaishali Rao, Joint Vice President HR, Medicine Solutions Private Limited. Vaishali has been managing more HR functions for India and US at Medicine. In a previous stint, she has served various IT giants like Capgemini and Bristlecone Consulting. Mr. Shyam M, Senior Manager HR, Tractor and Farm Equipment Limited. Shyam, MBA graduate University with HR specialization, with about 16 plus years of experience in various segments of HR, right from talent acquisition, talent management, comp and ben to employee experience. Worked with premium organizations like Cognizant, Bosch, and currently with TAFE as a senior manager. Ms. Bharati Datta, Vedant Fashions Private Limited. Bharati is an HR expert with an extensive background in HR generalist affairs. She's known for her work in the area of employee recruitment and retention, compensation and benefits, performance management, employee engagement, and HR records management. Moderating with this panel discussion will be TCS CHROMA Global Head of Sales and Marketing, Shobik Baral. So please welcome all. Over to you, Shobik.
Thank you so much, Brinda. And a very good evening to the esteemed panel members we have here today. And there are many other people joining virtually this particular event. And thank you for staying with us. So our discussion today on fostering growth and productivity with AI-driven performance management is basically an attempt to delve into the opportunities we have in different dimensions of talent development. I understand that so far we had some beautiful sessions which really enriched us. So we'll try to keep the momentum alive in this session as well. So let me directly dive into the context. Performance management is extremely crucial for organizations in today's date because it is continuously thriving today's competitive landscape. And as leaders, setting clear objectives, providing regular feedback, and assessing and maximizing employee performance helps to ensure that we create a well-defined growth path for the employees, achieve highest employee engagement, and ultimately meet the organizational success in long run. So while managing all this in a larger organization poses a challenge, but we at times fail to bring the different elements together because there are lots of pieces which are scattered into the entire ecosystem. So, and that in turn keep a lot of challenge in assessing the goal-driven performances. Here is the rise of AI in HR space that is proving to be a real game changer. So joining me tonight are the distinguished panel of experts who will share their insights on the confluence of artificial intelligence and performance management and extending to peripheral ecosystem of HR. Now to set the stage, let me begin by asking Pradeep my very first question for the evening. From industrial revolution to information revolution, we have come a long way from being traditional to ultra-modern. How has performance management evolved over the years? Pradeep, over to you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. See, performance management has undergone changes along with the different stages of technology revolution. During the industrial revolution, the performance management was basically, it was a output driven. During that time, the main objective of performance management was to measure the output and efficiency, especially in an industrial setup. Along with the changes, when we have the information revolution, we have got a holistic approach to performance management, where it is not only question of efficiency or output, it is along with the quantitative output, we have qualitative output, along with the we see we take into account employee satisfaction, innovation, adaptability, flexibility, and continuous feedback.
Absolutely, Pradeep. Yeah.
So advance in technology has actually revolutionized the performance management, and we now use data analytics, real-time monitoring, and we have predictive analysis. And in this, actually, we are able to give personalized performance feedback. So basically, the management, performance management has undergone a lot of changes, and the changes in the technology has really helped us.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. That's wonderful because earlier, historically, we'll see that there were a lot of fine prints in HR domain, which were being touched by the performance management, but never were effectively used. And as you rightly said, probably through data analytics and by using the data to feed into AI algorithms, we are putting all these different pieces together to use it more effectively and in turn increasing the efficiency and productivity. Okay, thank you so much, Pradeep. Right. So, it was really an interesting take. So moving into the next one, we'll see that much has changed over the years. So have the employee expectations, because the multiple generations of employees are coming up and they're coming up with different kind of expectations and different kind of career options. So with the influx of e-commerce and social media, workplace itself has seen a paradigm shift. Devanati, so I'd like to ask you, how do retail organizations such as yours, which is a real modern organization, are envisioning the role of AI in performance management?
Well, AI, as we have heard for so long, and today, since the start of the session, we have been hearing, and as we know also that AI plays a real vital part in today's generation and today's workforce, but it definitely plays a very vital role in retail organizations also, because in retail organization it helps in enabling personalized customer and in-store experiences, streamlining the pricing and promotional strategies, which is based on the consumption and demand, and also by optimizing the operations. Well, if I have to be very specific about the performance management, when it comes to performance management, artificial intelligence makes better decisions about how employees are performing now and would be in the future. Because AI helps capture continuous data from various sources like communication amongst employees. So this is where the system can show real-time insights of an individual's performance, and managers can give instant and constructive feedbacks. So when AI comes into the picture, there is very less of human intervention which is required. And in retail organization, which is like us, where huge employee strength, which is basically at the store level, where tracking of performance is really very difficult. So there, chances of human errors are also much, because in conventional performance reviews, where managers mostly depend on trusted feedbacks from team leaders, store managers, from rating to suggesting training courses, the managers has to take up a lot of effort. And doing this for larger groups, it's a bit of with taxing, and it also increases the chances of human errors. So also, when we come across, we heard about biases, so keeping personal biases, incomplete data, favoritism. These are also part of appraisal process, which each and every one of us, we know that we come across. So when AI comes into the picture, specifically in performance management, it has no personal connection, and it helps create analytical reports, which is based on the data that is collected from the stores, and it becomes very systematic when it specifically talks about retail in handling a lot of data and passing it down from the people. So yes, it does. It is very important and very helpful to run a performance management in a retail industry.
That's great, Devarati. In fact, rightly said, there are multiple pieces of it. First piece you talked about is bringing in automation. Second part, you're talking about bringing more accuracy. And third part that you're talking about is putting all of these things together and having the right data in place for the good outcome. Right. So wonderful. Additional point that I would like to add is about future forward. Means in addition to utilizing it for the current performance evaluations or assessment for employees, can also look at future forward and do good forecasting about what your employees can reach up to. Great. Right. Thank you so much. And obviously, being part of a technology company, I am an ardent supporter of everything AI and the great potential it holds in the performance management space. But at the center of it there are human beings who are actually coming with diverse backgrounds and skyrocketed expectations. Again, Gen Z and probably Gen Z A, B, C that is going to come up in future. So I want to ask you, Vaishali, how can businesses strike the right balance between data-driven insights and the human element in performance management? If you can please share some real-life experiences from your side.
Sure. First, your question reminds me of the article that I read 2 days ago in Times of India, where it was no HI, no AI. Okay, so if there's no human intervention, there's no artificial intelligence. So we all know that, AI heavily depends on the inputs that we would provide, right? It would not be able to decide on its own unless and until, so it doesn't have any thinking capacity unless and until the data is fed in, right? And then it all relies on the history, it all relies on the trend, correct? So it can certainly perform complicated tasks, but it would need some input from us, right, humans. So this gives me another perspective. I would also say that human cannot survive with AI. We are in such an era now that we need some additional
support from the technology to advance our decisions, right? So both of them certainly need to coexist. I would, echo to what our co-panelist also mentioned in the earlier presentation, that AI is extremely important. Unless and until you have AI, you will not, as an organization, achieve any strategic advantage, right? So it is no longer a buzzword. It is no longer a trend, but it is a strategic initiative that any organization, for that matter, would take if they really want to excel and leverage and have an edge over other competitors. Okay, so AI is must. Now, how would it strike a balance, between the data-related insights and AI? So let me come to the topic of performance management, right? We being in an industry where every transaction matters for us, because every transaction is a revenue, right? We have streamlined most of our HR processes via artificial intelligence. It could be bot, it could be applications, starting from pre-onboarding to onboarding. Once the person is onboarded, now we have a platform. So recently we moved from annual appraisal to, so we had two appraisals earlier, biannual and annual. So when we moved to annual appraisal, we never wanted our people to wait for 1 year, to get assessed, and then that assessment, we would not even know whether it would be a right assessment. So we now have a platform where we introduced continuous feedback, right? It gives a real-time input. If I as an employee want to, if I get some award and I want to enter it, I just enter it and it goes to my manager and it goes to my next level manager, right? If I as a manager wants, to recognize someone or to dock someone on a real-time basis, I see a problem, the client escalation, I have an opportunity, I have a platform where I just go ahead and enter against, that my team member, that, this is the problem and this is the real-time input, so that there's no post-mortem, the feedback is given on real-time basis and the action also is taken on real-time basis. And then this input then goes to the annual appraisal process. So you have all the data points to go through when you are actually assessing a person for the next level. Now, we've not only stopped, to this level, our entire performance. While I was designing this, when I started using CHROMA for the performance management module, my thought process was that why can't we just, integrate everything end to end? So starting from assigning a KRA as soon as the person joins. So we have the job descriptions in the recruitment module. Based on that, if we can have a KRA, role-based KRA that is assigned, once that is done, then there's a continuous feedback that flows in. The confirmation process happens, the same set of KRAs will then be assessed. You can use the IDP, individual development plan, which is again part of the cycle. You then, if you want to put someone on PIP, performance improvement plan, use that particular module. If you want to then do the final assessment. So it's kind of end-to-end process. And the best thing is, if you're doing that, if you're doing that, you have a lot of data which is relevant, the system then gives you the right insights. So predictive analysis, we've been talking about predictive analysis. If I have the system, if I have R&R data, if I have continuous feedback, client appreciation data, if I have individual development plan data, I then know that the system can give me that these are my potential performers, or these are the trailers, or these are high pods, and I get a predictive analysis of, yeah, these people are your high pods and you can go ahead and promote them. So it will certainly give me a list. That said, can I blindly go ahead with what the system is giving me? The answer could be yes and no, because we're really not sure whether that data is 100% authentic, right? So there human element comes into picture. Yeah. So when we say how can we strike a right balance, we have ample of data as HR, from all the sources on a system. It also gives us the output, but then does the system have the ability to deal with exceptions? The answer is no. Then we as an HR professionals or human beings have to intervene, make clear judgments, take fair decision on what should be the next steps. So this is my take on, like AI certainly can work based on the rules, but if we have to deal with exceptions, yes, we have to have our interventions to make sure that we are fair to the employee at the end of the day.
That's wonderful, Vaishali. In fact, that reminds me of a beautiful analogy. So, what I believe, there is nothing called innovation. Everything is discovery. What is innovation? When you discover the way you can build something in a different way. For example, how do you begin, again, going back to the same point, putting multiple pieces together and create a different pattern. That is your innovation. So it was always there. Like before even J.J. Thomson invented electron was always there. Only Dalton did not know about it. So that is the difference. So great. I think that provides a good insight here. So, while we agree that AI has great potential in elevating an enterprise's performance management that we have all discussed so far, AI also slowly becoming integrated into performance management systems, and also the employees and the managers and the different HR professionals are leading within the organization. So my question to Shyam is, do you see there are challenges in implementing AI for measuring performances?
Okay, thank you, Sabik, for having me here on this wonderful round table, I would say. And esteemed panelists, thank you so much for being here along with me. Truly enjoyed the sessions which was there in the previous probably time frames. And just before starting this discussion, I was browsing my mobile and looking at how many times does the word AI has been searched in a chat GPT as equal the word human is also being searched. And time and again, all the panelists would agree or probably have spoken this out, mentioning that at last, yes, the human interventions are probably the conversation that matters is really important for making a decision. So I would like to keep it short and simple, Shobek. Yes, AI is definitely helping us to collate the data to probably streamline the process in terms of assessing, or probably coming up to the stage where we can have a discussion in terms of data analysis, real-time feedback. I think most of them included that, predictive analysis, 360-degree feedback, goal setting, and name it. I think AI is working on it. But finally, when it comes to decision making, I take the example which Mr. Sugata quoted. I think it was a wonderful example of the accident that occurred. Finally, the doctor takes a call whether to go for the operation or not. It's not how it happened or what made it happen. Finally, it's the decision of the doctor to whether go for the operation or treat the patient without the operation. And name this personality. I think whatever discussions we cannot go without taking him, which is MS Dhoni, the person of our decade, I would say. He time and again emphasizes on how important the process is more than the result. I think being in an environment where we are working on collaborative goal and which is really taking our organization to the next step forward, I think conversations that matters is really important. And AI, yes, even though it gives us data, the final result where we take the decision, there is always a challenge on how our human intelligence is going to pay way forward. And thank you, Saubek. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam, and appreciate everyone for providing your wonderful views here. While we understand that there are leadership blessing required, there are involvement required, we need to have good kind of data. But another aspect which might be important is, which may be a question to all of us, and we need to delve into our mind to really figure out what is the best way to clarify it. Industry-specific nuances. For example, in a manufacturing industry or in a retail industry or maybe in a sophisticated high-tech industry, Are there real variations in terms of acceptance, or are there really variation in terms of the magnitude of challenges in implementing AI in performance management or holistically in HR? So this may be a question to all of us. We can leave the ground with this question instead of getting into responses right now, just for the sake of time. So thank you so much, and thanks for your valuable contributions and fantastic insights I got from all the esteemed panelists. And I'm sure people who are attending this event today are also continuously learning, and they will continue growing interest in this area. So performance management certainly is not a one-time task. For the AI systems to function effectively, it becomes instrumental for enterprises to monitor performances on an ongoing basis. This not only fuels the AI systems, but also ensures continuous employee engagement, and we remain aligned to the organization goals and evolving user needs. Thank you all for joining us today, and we hope this discussion has shed light on the transformative potential of AI-driven performance management in fostering growth and productivity within organizations. Have a great day, and over to you, Brinda.
Thank you for engaging, sharing your insights. Performance management full day. Now, to conversation, we have on topics around its implications. See, we'll now next session on head to welcome our operation head ready to give walk through development. Over to you, Trilok.
Thank you, Brinda, and good evening, everyone. And I think you have been patient so far. So I'll keep it short. So let me start and provide a high-level overview of what we have done in the last 1 year, and then I'll try to cover up the things which are come up in the next financial year. Now, CHROMA as a product, we have been investing into AI since last 3-4 years. And as of today, we have a portfolio of about 15 AI models covering various aspects of HR, wherein these models provide various AI-driven recommendations, forecastings, and also help in making the HR processes smarter and insightful. So this year we released 4 AI models, starting with resume ranking model, which basically helps in providing fitment of candidate resumes against the job descriptions of the jobs for which he or she has applied. Now, this basically helps the recruiter and hiring manager to shortlist the candidates faster by identifying the top match profiles from the list of candidates, thus saving time and effort. A mentor recommendation AI model helps in identifying mentors within the organization for helping the career development of the employees or helping out the employees in achieving their goals. The model looks at the historical data and provides forecasts for who can be a mentor for a particular role or for a particular department or a particular grade or various other job parameters. Okay, basis which it gives a plethora of recommendations for the list of employees included. We also have a model, hypo identification model, which basically helps identifying the high potential employees within the organization who can be further groomed up to take up the higher roles or looked at from career development perspective as well. Now, this model helps in a way the HR in retaining the high performing employees so that you can put more focus on them and then try to see if they can grow within the organization rather than treating out at later point of time. And then we have the career recommendation model, which basically is aimed at the employees, and it helps them in recommending future career roles for the employees based on the historical data it sees within the organization. Now, it helps the employees to choose a career path within the organization to grow and also fulfill their career aspiration. Apart from the AI models, we also have done a lot of enhancements on mobile. Okay, in our effort to improve the user experience, ease of access, and security, we updated our mobile application with multiple features. Some of the key features, I'll just try to cover it up. We have the push notifications framework, which enables our CHROMA mobile application to support sending alerts to the users about important notifications such as messages, updates, reminders, to keep the users engaged and also informed about what's happening in the HR process as such. With regards to check-in, check-out enhancements, CHROMA allows employees to undo the last actions apart from doing the normal checkout and check-in. So this basically helps in allowing the employee to correct in case he has done a wrong check-in, check-out within a specified configurable time period. Then we also have this biometric login, wherein CHROMA now supports Face ID and fingerprint enabled logins integrated with the passive policy of CHROMA, thus ensuring ease of login to CHROMA as well as enhanced security part of the CHROMA mobile app itself. Now, with progressive web apps, we are pushing to improve the user experience when accessing or navigating within the CHROMA mobile app. We have started adopting PWA, and by end of this quarter, we will be rolling out the expense management module, and then we'll continue into FY25 to roll out the PWA or progressive web app applications for the all other modules as well. Coming on to the key application enhancements which we have released. Now, obviously, CHROMA has 15 plus modules covering from hire to retire, and all have been having multiple releases within it. But I'll try to cover is the key modules with some key application enhancements which were rolled out. So let me start with people management, wherein we have added multiple new mass upload programs, say for cost center uploads, or enhance the existing mass upload programs, like hiring mass upload programs to upload salary and then also generate what you call the appointment letter generation. Okay, we have also enhanced the event process, wherein confirmation process, for example, now accommodates 3 stages: trainee to probation to active. And then we also have the employee acceptance of event letter being done on the system itself. Okay, and lastly, we have made the reminder notifications completely configurable, for example, for last working day or for the retirement extra. Okay. To the leave management part, if I move on to, there were multiple enhancements done on the shift or week off features, like employee has now an option to select a shift or a week based on of their choice. Or you can also have look at week off can be considered as a loss of pay in case the employee continues to be absent without informing the manager. Okay. Now we also enabled compensatory off and overtime off to be completely configurable with various parameters like shifts or department, compensatory off encashment options as well. We have also released a sick leave generation based on ESIC eligibility as part of the leave management module. If I move on to the expense management, we have various flexi payment changes which were implemented, be it from the flexi pay declaration to flexi pay document upload to flexi reimbursement payment file generation extra. LTA reimbursement functionality was completely revamped, as well as from the statutory per se, if you look at it, ATE and ATEEA under investments were also released, which helps the employees to claim reductions from their net taxable income. I think the point which was being discussed earlier from the performance appraisal perspective, if you look at it, we have enabled report access to PMS admin as well, so that we can take a status check about all the complete appraisal process for his department as well. Another nice feature which has been included is the employee productivity tracker, which basically integrates or basically takes the monthly data upload of the achievement data and shows it in the goal sheet. So this basically will help the tracking of the productivity of the retail and the sales staff. Now, apart from this, the revamp of the PIP process to include organization-based workflow was also released. Under learning, we had the mass enrollment, mass course scheduling, mass uploads which were released, assessment to be listed as a prerequisite, which was also released. And then we also had something on because we had seen a lot of customers had a very heavy video files which were taken as a learning content. So we have also released AWS integration, which allows the customers to store the content, the heavy video contents on the AWS itself, integrated to the CHROMA. And lastly, coming to the generic configurability features, which are applicable across all the CHROMA modules, we have included report field configurations wherein existing report fields could be activated or deactivated, or derived fields could be included from the front end itself. Now, we also provided additional access control features for email and letter templates to provide a view or edit access based on the roles the user holds. Okay. Now, this was just a very high level overview of the key application enhancements done during the current year. So let me now give a glimpse of the changes which are going to come release in the next financial year, that is FY25. Now, so as part of CHROMA Way Ahead, now we want to drive our product innovations based on market trends as well as the feedback which we receive from the customers over a period of time. The core theme which we have selected for this year is basically for FY25 is manage it yourself, for enabling our customer to manage the configurations on their own, and then the ad hoc reporting where we'll allow the customers to be able to get talent insights based on the CHROMA data. I mean, they can create their own reports and then visualize and everything. And then finally, the transforming the HR processes based on AI and generative AI. Now, starting from the theme of strengthening the configurability, we'll be enhancing the front-end configurations of our product in the coming quarters, okay, which will include module-specific configurations of all modules, okay. For example, the configuration of leave management module to be done from the front end. And this would be followed up by other modules also being rolled out at the later part of the year. Currently, CHROMA supports multiple workflows, okay, be it employee-specific event letter generation workflow, claims-related workflow, or offer letter-generated workflow, which are all technical configurations currently in CHROMA. Now, we are going to enhance the CHROMA workflow configurations to be enabled through front-end so that a functional person can do the workflow changes on the fly. Now, apart from the workflows, as you all understand, there are multitude of business rules also which come into picture whenever we do a HR specific transaction, be it a date validation, be it an amount validation, or be it a data access control extra. So we are looking at bringing all these business rule configurations also to the front end so that functional user can manage them, all these configurations by themselves. Moving over to the talent analytics part of the things, we are looking at providing CHROMA Data Mart covering all the key modules, okay, which customer will have access to through the CHROMA Data Gateway server. Now we are looking at integrating this solution with any BI solution customer may have already, or we can provide CHROMA specific BI solution as well with key default KPI dashboards and so that the customer can build their insights based on those. A customer would be able to use these BI solution to create ad hoc reports, visualizations as per their needs, and also get into the talent insights for their department or the organization as a role, depending on the role he or she holds. Now, with employee data care, we are looking at integration of all CHROMA HR processes or all the modules with employee ticketing system or the HR care, okay, wherein employee, whenever he has an issue anywhere in the CHROMA screen, he can raise a ticket with screenshots and attachments for any issue they face, okay, and then the workflow for that ticket would flow into the relevant HR team so that they can look into it, resolve it online. And lastly, I think the topic of the session so far, moving on to the generative AI. Now, we have been hearing a lot about generative AI since last year, and we have been working on this since last year, and we have done multiple POCs in these areas with create job descriptions, create surveys, create interview questions, job fitment identifications, and some of these use cases were already shown as a preview to our existing customers as well. Okay, now we will continue to embed more generative AI features into HR processes to streamline them, to make them more efficient. We're also looking at enhancing our chatbot Jade to be AI enabled to answer any employee queries they might have instead of they going to the HR for it. These queries will be very specific to the organization processes and will be based on the FAQ documents or the training materials which you already have within your organization or which were implemented as part of the CHROMA system. This will allow the Jade to provide personalized responses to the employee based on the processes which have been implemented. Now, I hope looking at all these features, I hope these features will make CHROMA feature rich as well as help your organizations to leverage CHROMA more effectively and productively for your talent management needs. I think that brings to end of my session for this evening. Thank you for joining in for this session and listening in. Back to our host, Brinda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trilok. It was wonderful to learn about CHROMA and the upcoming things in CHROMA. As we move towards concluding today's myriad discussion on role of AI in HR, I'm reminded by the quote by Jeff Bezos. We are at the beginning of a golden age of AI. Recent advancements have already led to inventions that previously lived in the realm of science fiction, and we have only scratched the surface of what's possible. The possibilities are endless, and the benefactors who adopt AI are in for some tangible business benefits. I now invite Global Head of TCS CHROMA, Mr. Jay Jha, to deliver the closing note. Jay has been with TCS for over 25 years. During this time, he has served several leadership roles across US, Latin, APAC, and India. With his rich experience in the IT industry in BFSI and extensive experience in managing HR products, he has been pivotal in shaping CHROMA to where it stands today. Please welcome Jay.
Thank you very much, Brinda. Good afternoon. It gives us immense pleasure that with all your support, we have been able to meaningfully organize the 4th edition of CHROMA InnerCircle, which we started in 2021. As we draw the curtain on CHROMA InnerCircle 24, I am filled with gratitude for the invaluable insights, discussions, and collaborative spirit that each leader today brought to the table. Over the past few years, we have explored and experienced the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in revolutionizing human resource management. From streamlining recruitment processes to enhancing employee engagement and performance management, AI has proven itself to be a powerful ally in driving organizational success. Throughout our deliberations today, we have heard AI is the future of HR tech. In our conversation today, we have also relearned that while AI can augment our capabilities and unlock untapped potential, it is ultimately human creativity, empathy, and judgment that distinguish us from the machines. As such, let us leverage AI as a tool for empowerment, foster a culture of continuous learning, and adapt to the technological change to reap business benefits as end goal. On CHROMA, FY24 has been the most successful in terms of onboarding the new customers on the platform. We have been able to implement it as well as continue to serve across various industry verticals with employee size ranging from 500 till 50,000 headcounts. I will take this opportunity to thank our customers for trusting on CHROMA and giving us opportunity to serve. I extend my heartfelt thanks to esteemed speakers, all the participants, and my team that has been working at the back end for making this event a resounding success. With this, I announce the conclusion of CHROMA InnerCircle until we meet next year, 2025. Thank you very much. Back to you, Brinda.
Thank you, Jay. As we bring this event to a close, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers and guests. Your enthusiasm, insights, and dedication has truly made this event memorable. I have enjoyed today enormously, and I hope you all have as well. On that note, thank you once again, and see you soon at CHROMA InnerCircle 2025.